All right. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Letter of Law Interviews. My name is Sarthak Bhardwaj, and in the ninth episode of this interview series, I'm absolutely delighted and honored to be in conversation with Mr. Ashok Kumar Panda, sir. Sir is a senior advocate practicing at the Supreme Court of India and various other high courts, and he has been a senior for over 22 years now and a lawyer for over 40 years. So before we proceed further, sir, thank you so much for taking the time out and being here with me. It's an absolute honor.
I'm also happy to talk to you, Sarthak. I'm very much impressed by your talent, your brilliance, and I hope we should have a very meaningful conversation, which will be interesting for the younger generation.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you very much. So, in today's episode, we are going to talk about this brilliant book that Sir has written, Institutions That Shaped Modern India, Supreme Court. I've read this book, I've written a review of it, and I am absolutely amazed at the depth of Sir's knowledge, the quality of Sir's writing, and his ability to offer a comprehensive perspective of the Supreme Court in under 200 pages. The book is accessible to everyone, and before we go any further, I encourage you all to buy the book right now. So, sir, before we start talking about the book, why don't you introduce yourself to us? Your early years, how you got interested in law, your time at law college as a young lawyer, and then becoming a senior, and so on.
See, I'm from a remote place in Odisha, okay? The village from which I come, it is called Ganesh Nagar in Sambalpur district. It is close to Bengali. My parents were displaced persons from Hirakud Dam project, okay, because of that. And then it was my father's ambition, his wish, that I should get higher education. That's how he shifted the entire family to Sambalpur. And I got my education both in Jilla School as well as in GM College. And naturally, I mean, whatever I'm today, it is because of his efforts. So then in 1973, I came to Delhi to do my law. And the reason why I chose law was I never wanted to be a servant or to be employed by a single master. I was thinking of an independent profession, and law was giving me that opportunity. So immediately after my graduation from law faculty, Delhi University, I joined Supreme Court. Then that time emergency was going on, and I was from the beginning. I have been an activist, student activist, and we were always thinking of transformative politics, transformative situation that we have been working for. And I was fortunate enough to have come in contact with Justice Tarkunde. Justice Tarkunde has been a leading human rights activist. He retired from Bombay High Court and he started his practice. Then he was a close associate of Jayaprakash Narayan as well as M.N. Roy. Everybody knows about him. So I was very fortunate to have come in contact with him. And at that point of time, Baroda dynamite case was going on, where George Fernandez was the prime accused, and along with him, there were a number of accused persons. So everybody, the entire country knows about the Baroda dynamite case. And there was a defense committee, Baroda Dynamite Defense Committee, where Mr. Tarkunde was the chairman. So I joined, I was the youngest member in the team. Both Sushma Swaraj and our Suraj Kausal, they shifted from Chandigarh only for that case. That happened in 1976. Then that was the first experience of a political case that I attended. I also did my bit because I was the junior most, the youngest person in the team. And I was asked to to move anticipatory bail applications and all those things. So I was doing that. And for George Fernandez, I had my admiration from the beginning. At the moment, we are having a George Fernandez Foundation, of which I'm a trustee also. And it was Mr. Tarkunde who introduced me to Mr. Soli Sorabi in 1977. And then there actually I worked in the chamber of Mr. Surabji. That time he was Additional Solicitor General. So I had the blessings of the giants, so to say. So it was Mr. Tarkunde, it was Mr. Soli Sorabji, and that is how I continued in the profession. In 1981, I became an advocate of record in Supreme Court. After that, I represented state of Odisha from 1985 to 1995. And after that, in 1998, I was designated a senior advocate in Supreme Court. That is how I am continuing. And I really feel blessed. And I am reminded of Newton when he was asked as to how he could see so far, so farther. So he said, I was only standing on the shoulders of giants. So I have that feeling that before me, a lot of people have done so much work, and I'm the beneficiary of all their toil.
Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, sir. What an illustrious career you've had. Truly an inspiration. So coming to the book, sir, I mean,
Yeah.
it's really a fantastic read, a quick read, so engaging. So what made you write on this topic? You know, you've been associated with law for so many decades now. So what was the motivation behind this? Did you feel that the public does not know adequately about the Supreme Court, or there are misconceptions that you wanted to dispel? So what was the motivation behind you writing the book?
Yeah. See, there are a number of books, very scholarly books. I mean, we should start with Mr. Sirvai, H.M. Sirvai.
Absolutely.
His commentary is fabulous. All of us, I mean, we have grown up with the reading of the commentaries. Okay. Then we have a lot of books by Mr. Bhardwaj is there, Professor Bhardwaj, Avinav Chandrachud has written. Then one of the very basic book will be also that by Mr. Govind Das. Mr. Govind Das was a senior advocate practicing in Supreme Court. He was Advocate General of Odisha also. And a long time back, he wrote Supreme Court in Quest of Identity. So that way, we have a lot of legal literature. It is not that we do not have. But the motivation I had was that Supreme Court should be introduced to the younger generation, number one, without any legal jargons. And what are those factors which inspire younger generation? I mean, I was always curious about that. So I tried to go to their mindset, try to appreciate their mindset. And I thought we should be writing a book that could be read at one go. That is how we call it a popular publication. Popular means without legal jargons, and it should be very short, very brief. Okay. So I mean, I have chosen that path, and my only object is to inspire the younger generation to know about their great institutions like Supreme Court, like Parliament, like all those institutions that are there. And Rupa have been quite supportive of this idea that we should be talking about the Supreme Court. So I have tried to, initially when I was trying actually, later on we can discuss about that, about the pre-constitution background. Actually, I wanted to also give so many facts, so many information, but again, we had to make some compromise because with the kind of constraint of space, we have to keep out many of the things. Otherwise, one idea I have in mind is the basis of our constitutional values. You do not have to go beyond our territory. You have to go to our civilizational history. And that is the basis of our constitutional values. I mean, that is what I would like to emphasize. Because first of all, we have our Dharma Shastra, number one, where Mahabharata, you can see Artha Shastra, you can see Chanakya's Vidura Niti, you can see then Bhishma Parva also, if you read. Actually, I was very much into it. Then we have Amartya Sen's writing also, an idea of justice and all those things, an argumentative Indian. And you'll find that our civilization had all the elements to contribute to our constitutional values. One aspect I would like to just tell our younger people. You read the rock edicts of King Ashoka, and there you will find the concept of welfare state and secularism was ingrained in all those rock edicts. Because King Ashoka says, like, I mean, we have different beliefs, we have different faiths. We must have respect for other faiths. And the moment we glorify our own belief or faith and try to bring down other faiths, then the glory of our own belief or faith goes down. I mean, that is the kind of brilliant ideas King Ashoka had. So I would, and then he was also devoted to the welfare of the subjects and all those things. So I mean, I wanted to emphasize that, but that I'll do in a subsequent piece actually. Whenever I write, I'll emphasize the basis of our constitutional values. That is that you do not find in Anglo-Saxon jurisprudence, but in our own civilizational background, you will see that.
Quite so, and that's going to be a really fantastic book whenever it comes out. I'm already excited for it. So, sir,
Yeah.
like you mentioned that the book is written for those people who are not part of the legal fraternity in a simple language that can be read in one go. So, first of all, I mean, the book does, to all my viewers, the book does accomplish that. Even if you're not a law student or a lawyer, you'll not find anything hard to understand. Even the case laws that have been discussed have been explained in a manner which is accessible to everyone. So, how did you manage to get this really simple form of writing? Because you've been a lawyer for such a long time, and it's I'm sure it must have been really hard to not let those jargon-filled language come into your mind. So, how did you achieve this really simple form of writing?
See, I'll tell you the story of George Bernard Shaw. You
Sure.
know, uh, when he was given the Nobel Prize, what did he do with that Nobel Prize? You know it.
I do not, sir. Tell me.
Okay. What he did, he instituted foundations which will promote simple English.
Oh,
Okay. So, I mean, his entire Nobel Prize was devoted to developing or encouraging writing simple English. That is the basic of this. And the other thing is, unless you understand your subject very well, it is very difficult to express it in simple language.
true.
Normally, we try to copy what others have done and all those things. But the beauty lies in your own simple language. If you are able to express whatever you know in a simple language, then I think it will be a great service to all our younger generation. The challenge before us, I would say, is legal literacy. Our people, unfortunately, what has happened? Our educated people are not legal literate.
True.
Legal literacy is yet to reach our educated masses. So what I'm trying to do is just to create some interest. And the other aspect I wanted to tell you, see, for example, we are concerned about the last man standing, last
Yeah.
man standing for justice. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you achieve that? Unless you reach out to the last man, unless you are able to tell them that I mean, these are your rights. You can be sure that you can assert your rights. Okay, I'll give you one example. Well, let us talk about our Dalit and the Adivasi or women. Okay,
Sure.
these are the three segments which are really vulnerable. Are they aware of their rights? When you go to a remote travel areas, either in Chhattisgarh or in Odisha or in West Bengal or this thing, you know, I mean, people are not aware of those their rights. For example, an Adivasi, how does he understand the state? What is his interaction with the state?
True.
His interaction with the state is with a policeman who is on the ground, a constable, a forest guard who is always preventing him not to do this, not to do that, and the other person is an excise uh, person, a very lowly, I mean, a person who will be the basic officer. So the an Adivasi always views these three symbols, these three persons as the symbol of Indian state. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how do you tell an Adivasi that, look, we have so many laws which grants you so many rights. Have we ever done it?
No.
And if we move a step forward, I would say we have achieved a lot of things. Actually, if even like young people like you ask yourself the question. You move out of the cities, you go to villages, you go to the Dalit families, you go to the Adivasi families. You ask them, are they aware of their rights?
Hardly.
So maybe, I mean, mine is a very humble effort in that regard.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sir's discussion points to a larger problem of lack of accessibility of legal awareness, just like Sir mentioned, and therefore a need for more accessible legal scholarship. So, moving forward, Sir, because your book has a really comprehensive account of the Supreme Court, it starts right from the colonial period, what were the laws like then how the court evolved. You mentioned most of the landmark judgments and then some emerging issues before the court today. And you do that, I mean, the book is less than 200 pages. Uh, so what was the research process like? How did you research
See,
so? Yeah.
I'm very fortunate to have very able young lawyers with me. My young colleagues they are actually super. I have acknowledged their contribution
Yes.
in
Yes.
my book.
Indeed.
Anirudh Purushottam, a young lawyer, Manoranjan Paikrai, then Satyabrat Panda, he's my eldest son, and Avid Sharma. Avid Sharma has gone to Singapore now. He's doing his PhD now.
Okay.
So we were a team, and naturally, I had to be the public face.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so far as research is concerned, I have acknowledged their contribution. Without their contribution, it would have been impossible actually. And writing a book is not a one man's project actually. A single person cannot do it. Okay. So I thought of dedicating my book to Justice Tarkunde, because I feel indebted to him, because at every point of my life, he has been there. Both Mr. Tarkunde, Mr. Sorabji, all these people, and then I'll not be naming other people because they are quite a good number actually, and I was blessed with their help and with their guidance.
Indeed. So moving on, sir, there's
Yeah,
this one really interesting part about your book when you're talking about the importance of dissenting judgments. And
yes,
there's this really poetic line that you wrote. I mentioned it in my review also, which I'd like to read out.
yeah, yeah,
Sir
yeah,
wrote that the purpose of dissent is so that a progressive court of the future will look back and remedy a wrong in the system. So rightly said. So, sir,
yeah.
do you think, I mean, relating it to contempt to the present Supreme Court, there have been reports that from constitutional benches there's a severe lack of dissenting judgments. So, how do you interpret that? Do you think that the judgments that are being passed required a unanimous verdict, or that this lack of dissenting judgments is a worrying trend? What's your understanding of this?
See, I always feel all judges are equal. Number
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
Chief Justice of India is one. He's also one among the equals. Okay. However, he's Chief Justice of India, so he has all the administrative powers. But the moment the Chief Justice sits with other judges, then naturally a junior-most judge is also equal to him.
Yeah.
So that is our judicial system, and every judge is entitled to express his views. And the moment they do not agree, anybody doesn't agree, then he has the right to speak out.
Sure.
So actually, if we go to A.K. Gopalan,
Yeah.
you have seen Justice Fajal Ali's judgment,
Right.
okay, his
Right.
opinion. And mind you, I mean, it took how many years when Maneka Gandhi came? 1950 to 1978. Okay. It took 28 years for Justice Fajal Ali's opinion to be recognized. Okay.
Right.
Now, you also imagine a habeas corpus judgment. Okay. Justice Khanna's judgment now finds favor with our constitution benches, which includes Justice Dhananjay Chandrachud. So, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, he overrules his own father's judgment. I mean, that is the poetic, it is a kind of poetic justice, I would say. So, and mind you, I have great respect for Chief Justice Chandrachud.
Yeah.
And I would, his tenure as Chief Justice was the longest, 7.5 years.
Yeah.
Chief Justice Chandrachud, Chief Justice Bhagwati, then Chief Justice Pathak, these were the giants we had. And in that courts, in those courts, there were other giants like Justice Krishna, Justice Chinnappa Reddy, Justice D.A. Desai, Justice M.P. Thakkar. These are the persons, I mean, actually, I feel very much privileged that I had the occasion to witness all the giants. And I'll be very happy. Actually, the another I mean, the thing I have in mind. See, when I'm talking to the present Supreme Court, then I'm simply requesting them. I'm just telling them that, sir, you are all, I mean, inheritors of great legacy. Kindly uphold that legacy. I mean, that is my, I mean, in a way, that is my message to them. Though I don't say in so many words, but I can just tell you that when I'm describing the rich legacy of Supreme Court, I'm also requesting the Supreme Court judges, the present Supreme Court judges, with folded hands, that please be conscious, please remember your legacy and do justice on the basis of the legacy.
That's very rightly put, sir. Another really interesting part from your book that I really liked was your description of the national emergency period and how you managed to capture the tensions of that period and how the Supreme Court really suffered a reputational setback with the supersession of judges and really bad judgments like ADM Jabalpur and so on. And at that time, like you mentioned earlier, you were a fresh law graduate. So, how was your experience of practicing law at that time in the period of emergency? Did it shape your later thinking about law and justice?
See, before emergency, I was already an activist, as I told you.
Yeah.
And I believed in transformative politics. Okay. We're doing all sorts of, we'll do law, wall writing, we'll do so many things. We'll be going for cyclo-styling leaflets and anti-emergency and all those things. And I came in contact with a lot of people actually who were passionate about the idea of liberty. And that was how I was attracted towards George Fernandez also. Okay. Mr. Tarkunde, with him, actually, he was the founder of People's Union for Civil Liberties. I have been his associate all through. Till his end, I was with him. I mean, that is how we thought, we could do great things for the country.
Yeah.
And another thing I must tell you, in Bandhua Mukti Morcha, Mr. Ashok Srivastav and myself, we were appointed court commissioners by the Supreme Court that was presided over by Justice Bhagwati. It was Justice Bhagwati's judgment. You would have seen Justice Pathak's judgment also, opinion is there in that Bandhua Mukti Morcha.
Yeah.
And the court was kind enough to recognize our report that you must have seen. Then I had another great occasion with Mr. Anil Diwan, Anil Bhai. With him, actually, I served the Supreme Court as a part of the amicus curiae team. Okay. Mr. Anil Diwan was appointed amicus by the Supreme Court in Jain Hawala case, that is Bindit Narayan case. And he was also kind enough to choose me as one of a part of the team. So I had this great opportunity. I must tell you, I mean, it was lovely working for this. Then I can go on citing different cases. One case I can tell you about, that of Nagbhushan Patnaik.
Yeah.
D. Nagbhushan Patnaik was a communist revolutionary. Okay, just like A.K. Gopalan in the 50s, 40s and 50s. D. Nagbhushan Patnaik was a communist revolutionary. It was his belief not to participate in judicial proceedings, though he himself was a lawyer. He was a law graduate, he was a lawyer. His brother-in-law, Mr. D. Bhuvan Patnaik, was also a lawyer. Okay. So I came in personal contact with them subsequent to their release. In Delhi, PUCLNDR, that time PUCLNDR was there. That was People's Union for Civil Liberties and Democratic Rights. Okay. So first we filed a writ petition challenging section 433A of the CRPC. Okay. And in that process, we were able to get medical aid to Nagbhushan Patnaik. Then Mr. K.G. Kannaviran, one of the leading lights of our day. Okay. So he prepared a writ petition, and Mr. Tarkunde and Mr. Govinda Mukhoti were leading us in the team. Okay. And the whole tenor of our writ petition was Nagbhushan Patnaik, he refused to participate in the judicial proceeding, or he refused to defend himself on the basis of evidence which remained unchallenged. He was sentenced to death, and after death sentence, it was subsequently commuted to life sentence. Okay, that was the case.
Yeah.
Then another case came that was called Parvatipuram conspiracy case. In Parvatipuram conspiracy case, the same incident was part of conspiracy, and as per the law, as per our law, the same incident was again to be established by the prosecution.
Okay.
And by that time, Nagbhushan's stance had changed, and his political belief said, okay, now we'll participate in judicial proceeding, we'll defend ourselves. And they started cross-examining the witnesses. On the basis of cross-examination, whatever evidence came, that resulted in acquittal of Nagbhushan Patnaik. Okay. So our writ petition was saying, here is a situation when a person does not participate, when the evidence is not put on the anvil of cross-examination, it results in conviction and his death sentence. Now the same evidence is being put on the anvil of cross-examination, and he gets acquitted. So Mr. Tarkunde was leading us in the case. The matter came before Justice Fazal Ali and his bench. The bench presided over by Justice Fazal Ali. Justice Fazal Ali said, you are right, but how can you challenge a Supreme Court judgment or a judicial decision by way of a writ petition? So what you do, you challenge that judgment in a special petition, and we will condone the delay. There was a delay of 11 to 12 years. Okay, delay was condoned, and the Supreme Court granted us the remedy. The remedy was directing the state of Andhra Pradesh to consider the case of Nagbhushan Patnaik for his premature release. He was directed to be released prematurely, and then they said, till you decide, our order will remain. So finally, the government decided to release him prematurely. I mean, that is one of the interesting cases, and I can go on like this. I mean, if you are interested about human rights cases, I can just tell you, I mean, so many things. Yes.
Perhaps we can have a whole new episode with sir where we can discuss his own journey through law and his really inspiring work in the area of human rights. But for now, moving on, sir, another really interesting area of your book was the section where you discuss some of the emerging issues before the Supreme Court. And you've written how the court has actually played through the history a role of transformative justice, as you say. We've had in recent times, we've had judgments like Joseph Shine. We have seen the court abolish triple talaq. We've seen the court side with free speech in judgments like Shreya Singhal. Yet at the same time, there has been criticism of the court for perhaps not coming to the aid of the migrants during the pandemic, the farmers' protest, and so on. So do you think that the Supreme Court of today has done justice to its role as protector of civil liberties?
See, there I have got my own views,
Yeah,
but I did not let my views to come into the book.
absolutely, absolutely.
Reason being, I always sincerely wished our we in India, we must not lose hope.
Yeah,
Hope is the basic thing that I have in mind, and no citizen should lose hope in the institutions.
yeah,
That is the reason why I have consciously refrained from being critical of the institution. Yes, I mean there are a lot of things. There is a lot of scope for improvement, but we should leave it to the institution itself. Let them also discuss among themselves. Let them say what ought to be done. It is not for me. First of all, I mean I'm a citizen. I mean I consider myself an humble citizen. I would not like to pontificate. I
yeah,
would not like to say you are wrong here, you are wrong there, and all those things. Let us also give them that kind of the kind of scope where they can also do introspection, because every judge will be doing introspection at every
yeah,
stage,
yeah,
and I will expect our honorable judges to come forward to be some to bring solace to the citizens. And especially, I'm not bothered about the rich or the influential. I'm not bothered about them. I'm saying how a Dalit, a woman, or a small child, or an Adivasi, how does he get justice, access justice? I'm much more bothered about that, because the
absolutely.
rich can always take care of themselves.
Yeah,
I mean, they can afford to litigate to get justice.
yeah,
But my main worry is the common man who doesn't have legal awareness about his rights. He doesn't have the kind of the substance or the kind of assistance to seek justice. So I'm bothered about that.
I understand. And just to rewind a little, the book, I must say that it's written in an extremely neutral manner and a neutral fashion. You get the clear perspective of what the Supreme Court is, what it was, and what it is possibly going to be, without an iota of own personal predilections sinking into the writing. And that is a huge accomplishment of the book. So, sir, now I will come to like the final set of questions, which is going to be away from the heaviness and just to pick your brain a little. You have been like I gauge from this interview. So you're a fond of reading. You've read widely and so much. So if you were to recommend certain books to young law students or lawyers that these books are, you should read if you have to be a good lawyer in the future, what would these books be, sir, according to you?
See, I can tell you about first will be always H.M. Sirvai. I mean, we must read Sirvai.
Yeah,
Without Sirvai, we'll not have the understanding of constitutional law. I mean, the basis of jurisprudence is laid down by our H.M. Sirvai. His son, Navroj,
yes, sir.
he is a very dear friend of mine. So, I mean, and I have seen Mr. Sirvai arguing before the court, and he was also the leading light in our civil liberties movement.
Yeah,
You know, he was one of the persons who was supporting government view in Keswanand Bharti. He was opposed to the basic structure doctrine, but seeing the emergency situation, the kind of experience he had during emergency, he was the first person to say he was not correct, and he said that now I stand for basic structure, and all the post 77 period, you will find him fighting all citizens' causes.
yeah,
So it is something great actually.
absolutely.
Then the other book will be uh, see have you read Key to Indian Practice
No, I haven't.
by Mulla?
No, 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 I haven't.
It is a beautiful book actually. I don't know whether I have got it here. Yes, I have got it here. Actually, I have got this. Can you read? Can you see this?
Yeah, yes, 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 it's visible. The Key to
See,
Indian Practice, Code of Civil Procedure, Mullah.
yeah. See, this is a book now. I think Eastern Book Company has brought out a new edition. Okay.
Okay.
But I got it, it's old edition, and we got it photocopied so that we keep it like that.
Oh, I
The
see.
beauty of this book is, see, normally we are always scared of what? The dryness of law.
Yeah.
Law is so dry. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I tell you about CPC, what will you say? What will be your reaction? Tell me. If I tell you about CRPC, what will be your reaction? Oh my God. Oh my God. Huh? So, see, first of all, CPC has so many sections. Okay. 152 or 153 sections. Then it has orders.
Yeah.
Then it has got rules. Okay. Now, we are supposed to mug everything, but that is not the way. What Mullah has done, this was a lecture given by Tagore Law Series, okay, Tagore Law Lectures. And he has tried to explain, which is really so good. I mean, I don't know whether people will appreciate that. Like, I mean, when in your class, your teacher is teaching you CPC, how does it teach? I'm asking you this question. How does it teach you?
So, sir, right now it was the online semester. We had to do it online. So we would all join in and we'd read the section. Ma'am would teach us case laws. She's also practicing advocate. So she'd, give us some of her own experiences.
Please ask her whether she has come across this book.
Absolutely.
Mullah's Key to Indian Practice. Okay.
Absolutely.
Just ask your teacher. And this was edited by PM Bakshi subsequently. Okay. So what I'm saying, what is the beauty of this book? Mullah starts with the filing of a suit, presentation of a suit. Okay. And in the presentation of a suit, you have the entire process. Okay. Plaint will be there, written statement, replication, framing of issues, and then evidence. Okay.
Right.
And then you have you have judgment. After judgment, you have appeal, you have revision, and all those things. So, I mean, from the beginning of a suit, from the presentation of a suit, everything is taken care of up to the decree, up to the stage of decree.
Wow.
So he goes on saying that, and with reference to different provisions in CPC.
Wow.
Then also CRPC, you go through that. Okay. Then the third book will be Evidence Act. Okay. So once you master CPC, CRPC, and Evidence Act, then I think your foundation for a legal career will be laid down. I do not know whether our law schools are teaching people like that. Otherwise, I mean, sometimes I feel disappointed that, I mean, most of our brilliant students, they are moving towards corporate laws. What do you do in the corporate sector? Tell me. I mean, to be frank with you, do you get that kind of satisfaction, job satisfaction, that when you join a law firm or a corporate law firm, what kind of satisfaction you have? I'm just, I'm into litigation, so I understand that, I mean, so long as I'm full to my clients, the public at large, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I mean, that is how I look at it. Then another thing I just wanted to tell you, I mean, because we'll be running short of time. Okay. See, I'll tell you. Have you come across an individual doctor and a 5-star nursing home or the kind of thing, clinic?
Yeah.
The big private hospitals that we have.
Right.
When you go to an individual doctor, then you find that the doctor goes out of his way to treat his patients, and he is true to his Hippocrates oath. Okay. Am I correct or no?
Absolutely.
So also you will find the difference. So also you will find the difference between an individual lawyer, an independent professional, and the same person when he becomes part of our corporate sector. Okay.
Absolutely.
Beyond this, I would not like to mention anything more. Okay.
Certainly. And so, sir, my final question to you, because
Yeah.
you have been a senior advocate for so many years now. You've practiced for so many years, been part of so many important high-profile cases. So, if you were to sum up all that wisdom and give some advice to students who are still in law college or to young lawyers, what would that be? What should students do while still in college, to lay the foundations of a successful legal career ahead? What would be your advice?
See, it will be presumptuous on my part to say like that.
Right.
Only I would wish, I wish our students should have an open mind. First, have an open mind, number one. Number two, believe in rationality. Okay. Be rational, be reasonable. Okay. Then the, above all these qualities, the thing will be have compassion, that sense of compassion, karuna. See, our civilization, like, I mean, you talk of Hinduism, you talk of Buddhism, you talk of Islam. All religions, all spirituality, it asks us to be compassionate. Okay, don't be self-centered, eccentric, or selfish. So if you have that quality of karuna in your heart, I think our society will be definitely a better one. And that is what I sincerely believe. I tell all my friends, people who help the migrant labor during the pandemic. I have been associated with some of those people, and I really appreciated their efforts,
Yeah.
because it is only people with compassion. They will say, "Look, I have limited capability, but I must do my bit." The moment you say, as an individual, I might be having my limitations, I might be having my limits, but within my limit I must come out to help others. I mean, that much, that kind of
Certainly.
sentiment we should have, and that has brought me thus far. Like, I mean, from a small village, I'm here, I'm doing fine. I mean, I have a good family with three children. I mean, two are lawyers and one is an engineer, and I'm happy about it.
That's so nicely put, sir, and you're so humble about your journey, which is really inspiring. And with this, I think we can come to an end for today's episode. Thank you so much, sir, for taking the time out and speaking with me. And to all our viewers, you must read Institutions That Shaped Modern India, Supreme Court, written by none other than senior advocate Mr. Ashok Panda. And sir, with this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much for your time and for coming to the show.
I also feel very happy to talk to you, and I really admire your brilliance and your concern. The way you are concerned about this society, I feel very happy about it.
Thank you so
And
much.
with young people like you, I see, I mean, the future is really bright. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. With this, we will